Hi, and welcome back to my channel. And this is the second video in the garden series. So, at this point, I do have a camera, so now I'm starting to record. And as you can tell, we've had some lawnmower issues, and we finally got our lawnmower back. It has been about 4 months since we've had a lawnmower. So, in this portion, what I'm doing is I'm trying to create a path to get into the garden. I've already done some of the weeding to get things down. I did leave the cleome flowers up that you're seeing in the video right now because I wanted to collect their seeds. And I did. I have a ton of cleome seeds. Spider flowers are great for so many things. So this is me trying to get it cleaned up to get it prepped for all of the tarping that is going to go down. I did buy a very, very high grade commercial tarp because this is about the fourth time we're doing this. So many things went wrong with the lower grade weed block that we had gotten. I know I keep calling it a tarp, but that's what it looks like at this point. Um, the weeds kept coming up through it. It kept getting ripped. Deer would get in, get tripped up on it, and just rip it all up. It was a nightmare. So at this point, I've gotten the weeding done. My husband came in and he retilled everything, and we just tilled the weeds in because we're covering it. And I want all of the nutrients from all those plants back in the soil. So this is the beginning of the tarping. These things are massive. They are, I believe, 6 foot by 300 feet. So they're super heavy. They are commercial grade, and yes, I'm just kicking it because that is the easiest way to go. I'm doing all of this in the hours before work, um, because after work I'm just too tired. I believe there was some after work activities. So while we're going through and laying down all of this tarp, I will walk through all of the ups and downs of what we have been through this far. So this is like our fifth iteration of the garden at this point. Um, And we just had like a breaker go out, and then I just lost all of my voiceover. So I'm redoing it and trying to remember where I was at this point in the video, which is a moot point. So, kicking the tarp, getting that laid down. There are a few things that had happened. We had a very large hoop house that we had built and put into the garden. And then we had a massive storm come through and it got blown out and broken. It was a really bad storm, y'all. So that is no longer there, which then we had to figure that out. And in other videos, you hear me refer to the jungle. That was the portion of the garden that was underneath that hoop house. We also have some crooked fence posts at this point because when that storm took out that hoop house, it knocked over our fence posts. They weren't fully dry yet. And yeah, so now we have some wonky fence posts. It's fine. It's our country garden. It's fine. So it's just to help keep the deer out, keep all the random buggers out of the garden, and that's it. So we do have, I believe it is 8 foot posts. They're 2 feet in the ground. We did use a quick creek concrete where you didn't have to put the water in yourself. It just takes the water out of the ground. And since I know we have an underwater stream, because streams don't have water. Oh my goodness. Lord, I need more coffee. We have an underground stream that runs by the garden. So there is always a ton of water back there. So we just let that naturally do what it did to this concrete. I will try to find the concrete we used because it was awesome that we did not have to lug water all the way to the back of the property since we don't have any like running water back there to just open up a hose and mix it up and do the things. So we did use that type of concrete. I swear I will try to find it and put it in the description. It was fabulous. Um, what else? We have the border up and around the edges that we put in, and that's about 2 feet. We're leaving probably 8 feet of pathways on the side, and that was the thought was that we could get the tractor into the garden, which you will see later in the video, did not quite work out as planned, as most things in this garden did not. So this tarping took probably a week in total. I mean, I was using about an hour of daylight before I had to start work in the morning. So this is pretty early since it's summer. That's probably 6:30 in the morning, maybe, I think. It's been a minute since I did this. So trying to remember the times is a little difficult, but this is super early in the morning. I can tell because of where the sun is. Um, and I just continued to kick it. Kick all the tarp. It's the easiest thing to do for your back, keeps it straight. It's awesome. For the actual fencing, we did use cattle panel and we reused what was already there from the previous owners of the property. So we really only had to buy a couple of panels to finish it out, which was great because getting things onto the back of our property is a little difficult because it can get so wet back there. Also, one of the reasons I'm doing not quite raised beds, but kind of raised beds. And you'll see what I'm talking about like later in this video on how we put the beds in. Um, Trying to think of what else. There's a tree in this video that is no longer there because it was dying anyway, and it just kept collecting weird bugs. And yeah, I don't know what the tree was, but it was a weird tree. So we took that tree down, and we're going to be using that wood for other things around the homestead. And this garden is roughly 3,000 square feet in total. It's not 3,000 square feet of growing space, though. Um, I don't know the exact square footage of the growing space, but we're just going to continue to lay tarp. This took quite a while, and yes, I did 2 layers because that is how friggin' done I was. Just done. And here we are starting the second layer of the tarp because, again, done. So I went in one direction and then went back over it in another direction. And I don't know if I got it on video, but I also went through and used what are they called? They are the roofing shingles that I had on that edge to keep those weeds down, which actually worked pretty well to allow me to go around the edge of the garden. And I used those to weight down the weed fabric so that it stayed down and mushed into the ground to forever make the weeds go away. So we're just going to keep rolling it out. And here shortly, it will all be done. And we will get to other really hard parts of this because we still have gravel and dirt to go. Yay! We are now ready for the gravel. We have some friends coming over from down the street in our area to help us move the gravel into the garden with their tractor. We only have 2 acres. It's kind of pointless to have a tractor on 2 acres. Let's be honest. It's a lot of money for a very big machine that we need minimal on the property at this point. Maybe in the future, if we get more property added on, we'll get one. So Steve and Nancy are our neighbors. They are the most adorable couple ever. They have been together since they were like 5 years old, and they are probably, I believe, in their 70s now. And they absolutely love working on the tractor. That is Steve in the tractor right now. His wife eventually comes over later in the day, and they're adorable working on this tractor together, like ripping things out and just having a blast. And I originally didn't want to ask for their help, but I tried to move some of the gravel in myself, and I couldn't do it because I'm not great at asking for help when I need help. So he's going in, and we are going to learn that this is not a great idea, nor is this going to work. So we do end up speeding through a lot of this. He ended up going around the edges on the outside and dumping it over the edge. And then we're going to take a rake and rake all of this gravel out. Because as you can see, when he's driving through, it's ripping the tarp a bit. And we're trying to keep the weeds down. And if that tarp is not there, the gravel will just sink straight into the mud and it'd be a moot point. So he's going in, he's trying to flatten it out. He's like a whiz on this tractor. I mean, they've been doing this a really long time, y'all. They have been here for a very long time. So he's calling us over, and we're going to be running out and talking to him and figuring the things out. So this is us figuring out that this is not going to work. And running around, and then, oh, we'll just dump it over the edge and see how that goes. Then we found out that that side that he's on is so wet, his tractor kept sinking. So, as you see here, dumping over the edge. And boom, like magic, we have gravel in the garden. So, there is more footage of me just raking all the gravel freaking everywhere. It probably took a week and a half to get all of the gravel laid out. And this is the finishing touch where I want a little bit of a walkway coming out because there's going to be a hopefully pretty gate right there. As you can see, my plant is very much dying. And we're about to put the garden to bed once we get the dirt in and all of that, which will be a different video because I try not to make these too horribly long. So enjoy the whole bunch of hard work that it is to shovel pea gravel. This was super fun. Okay, yes, this was a lot of hard work, but I thoroughly believe it was worth it. We are not entitled to anything in this world except to work for what we want. We don't get handed the things that we want for free. So I do enjoy working hard and doing these things. It makes me feel good. I've accomplished something, and I will be growing food, a massive amount of food for my family next year because I put in all of this work now. And I wanted to put that work in on the front end so that when everything is growing, I can just enjoy. I did learn a valuable lesson as wheeling anything through pea gravel is painful. And that will be part of the next video when we go in and start working on the actual beds themselves. Because as you can tell, they're not very high. So we'll be cutting out all of that tarp in the middle. And then getting some new soil in there and prepping it for planting next year. That was a lot of raking. It was a lot of raking. And it was kind of therapeutic. Like, you see people with their rock gardens or sand gardens. I'm not quite sure what they're called. And they rake them, and it's supposed to be like this whole Zen thing. I made a lot of life decisions while raking those rocks. And it was kind of nice. And I was outside, and we waited until the latter part of summer, early fall to do a lot of it because it was just so hot. And we knew that we couldn't get through all of it with it being that hot, which is why this has taken a full year to accomplish up to this point. And we still have work that we're doing on it. Just running around, raking gravel. And now I'm just talking for no reason. So I will shut up now, and if you'd like, please subscribe. I would really appreciate it. That would be fabulous. And let me know what you think. And if you have any suggestions for anybody, that would be great too. I know we didn't do this the greatest way in the world. And there are a lot of things that I would change on how we did this. So I will go over those in the last video. I think there will be one more after this, or else it would have been like a 5-hour long video. And that's just no bueno. So thank you. Please like, please subscribe, and have an amazing winter and family time because we are coming up on Christmas. So thank you again for being here with me, and thank you to all the new subscribers. I really do appreciate all of you.
The deck is stacked. You can whisper behind my back. You can show me how the odds are up against me all day long. But I've been through the fire and come out alive, and there's no more fear in my eyes. Oh, now I'm